You guys, so I have another guest in the beautiful city of Nairobi, Kenya. Here we are at the Sarit Center, sitting on the rooftop. We just got through eating some lunch. We're gonna get a drink really quick and tell you guys about this man's first trip to Nairobi and a little bit of his background, because he's a very interesting guy with multiple residencies, multiple citizenships. He's actually very inspiring. He brought them with us. He brought them with him today to actually show you that we're not just talking. Like, this is amazing, the stuff he has. So would you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
My name's Johnny. I'm originally from Australia, but I now live in Dubai. So the way I got into this was I was working offshore, doing a decommissioning project off the coast of Western Australia, and I just was earning good money, paying high taxes, but felt there was more. There was more I could do, more I could see, and I was sick of just taking 2 weeks off a year just to, quickly see a place, hang around for a little bit, and then never really see it again. And I wanted to see if there was a way I could permanently be based overseas. And I found that the best way to establish a connection to a country is to get a residency or a citizenship. That way you can live like a local. You can eat like a local, travel in and out of the country like a local. You're not standing in massive immigration lines. You're not, stressing whether or not you're going to be let in, whether you have to do visa runs every couple of months. So I found the best thing was just to get residencies in these countries. And that's how I began getting these. And then I started to look at my taxes. I said, I'm paying 50% tax.
50%?
Yeah, for 48.5, the maximum threshold in Australia. There's a Medicare levy on top for the free healthcare that we have. And if I was able to reduce my taxable income, or reduce the amount of tax I pay on my income, as well as my cost of living, I would be able to facilitate living overseas for long periods of time. So what I did is I mixed both getting the ability to live in these countries permanently, and also the ability to earn income tax-free. The way I did it was through a US LLC, because as I'm a non-Australian, a non-US citizen, and I'm now no longer an Australian tax resident, I'm a tax resident of the UAE, I don't have to pay any taxes on my personal income. And because Wyoming is a non-state tax state, except you use sales tax, and because I'm a non-resident, non-citizen, non-US citizen, I don't have to pay tax on non-US sourced income. So now, because of all these residencies and the way I've set up my way of living, going between the beautiful Paraguay and now Nairobi in Kenya, I can live and travel tax-free. Yeah.
So you said that you've been to Paraguay. So I've been to Paraguay. I loved it there. It was very, very boring. What did you find that attracted you most to Paraguay?
Initially, to be honest, I was looking up heap of videos, and I saw Austin. I saw you going and having a look around and traveling around, and I was like, well, on paper, it seems to be like a dangerous country, whatever, people are scared to go to South America, but Austin just went in and just did it, and seemed to enjoy the experience of being there. And then I looked into it a bit more, and then saw that, it's a territorial taxation country. Mm-hmm. So you just pay flat 10% tax on
10%.
Anything within Paraguay. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, how do I get to this country and spend time there? And then I initially went and contacted heaps of residency advisor firms, and had varying success. Some people were quoting $15,000 to get temporary residency in Paraguay.
Yeah.
Other people were saying pay X amount here. It was just completely. I just said I'd better go there and meet the people in person.
Yeah.
And then get this processed. I ended up paying a little bit more than I should, but I got to learn the process. So the initial process is you land in Paraguay, and then you make sure you got your police check, national police check. It needs to be apostilled, hopefully you're from a country that has is signatory to the Apostle Convention. There's some countries like the UAE that are not. So you get your national police check, and then you get so off the top of my head, it's tricky.
Your national police check, I had to get that.
Yeah.
The birth certificate.
Yeah, birth certificate.
Yep.
Apostilled, and it has to be quite recent. It's just easier if it's quite recent. It causes less trouble. It's a smoother process. Because you remember, you will have an interpreter if you've done it correctly, or if you speak Spanish, you'll be the one potentially doing it, which I don't recommend doing it yourself. You could easily come unstuck. There could be a tiny little, a little bit of damage to the document or whatever, or the way you've apostilled it is not right. The sticker's not right on the document, or they've never seen that document apostilled before, and they'll basically reject it on the spot. So your best bet is to have someone there, whether it's through myself or anyone else. Just have a point of contact that you can go through, that you can trust will get you through the whole process. So the first thing you'll get once submitting it is your temporary residence card itself. This is more of a, it's just kind of like, I guess you could say it's your temporary residence visa more, if you could say that. And then a few months after that, you'll get your cedula. There's varying speeds. Your cedula is the one that you want. This is like a proper ID. This gets you straight into the country whenever you're entering and leaving, in and out. It makes easy buying property, just everything. You're basically, you're treated like a local once you've got this card.
Correct.
Rather than like a foreigner. You don't want to be doing property purchase with your passport. Like, it's just risky. This is the way to do it.
You have way less rights, in that country if you don't have the residency.
100%, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, you've been in Nairobi only for one day. What were your intentions when you came to Nairobi?
Honestly, I was hoping to meet Austin. Like, I just watched Austin's videos for a while now, and just seeing his confidence going between countries, just the way, like, your general vibe is very positive, and all the information you pump out is just like amazing. Right? It's really good. So I just wanted to meet you in person and see if you're the same in person. Yeah. And you are. If anything, you're better. It's incredible.
I appreciate that. I'm glad you noticed that my vibe is completely different when I'm in Nairobi as opposed to somewhere like Turkey.
Yeah. You're so relaxed. Right?
Yeah.
And then people are constantly coming up and saying hi to you, and it's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's a very good experience. Mm-hmm. Even I went to look at some property today, and the people that were showing the properties knew you. Like, completely, I'd done this on my own. This was completely off my own back, and they knew him. They said, "Oh, you know Austin?" Like, yeah. And they're like opening up YouTube, looking at his videos.
Wow.
Yeah. They even stayed back without me even know. They were sitting there waiting for you to come out when they heard the rumors that you were going to be around. It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So, would Nairobi be a place that you would consider getting residency in? If so, why?
Depends on the way you structure it. The only worry is there is the risk of tax. If you're here for more than 6 months of the year, there's a risk of becoming a tax resident of Nairobi. So your best bet would be to mix it up. Mm-hmm. So if you go between Paraguay, Mexico, and then back to Kenya, that's the way to do it. That'd be perfect. And then you can move around between the weather, meet interesting and new people between each of the countries, mix it up a little. That's the perfect way of doing it. You're not taxable in any of them other than income generated in each country. So that way you can live a 0% tax lifestyle. Obviously, your property, rental income, things like that will be taxed within each country. Like Paraguay, 10% flat. Kenya, I think is it 15% around that?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. But that's not bad. Like, if you're paying no personal tax, and you've got your business set up in, say, the US, say in Wyoming, New Mexico, Delaware, Texas, you've got a really good structure. Even if you're a US citizen, you've got that 120,000 exemption threshold. Us Australians were a bit lucky with that, because once we're outside the tax net, it goes to zero. But they're looking at potentially, in the future, citizenship-based taxation. So I definitely recommend this sort of lifestyle, especially if you've got a location-independent income. It's the way to do it. It's just, look, instead of paying $2,000 a month for a one better, you can drop that right down to what are you paying at the moment?
$775.
That's ridiculous. And you guys would have already seen Austin's apartments. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's very nice.
Thank you. So you have some other citizenships and passports, residencies. Can you tell us a little bit more about everything that you have around the world?
I'll just pull out my passports as well.
So you have a Ghanaian passport.
By descent, through my mother.
By descent?
Yeah. So there's a funny story about getting this passport. So I find with getting citizenship by descent for other people as well myself is that depending on the embassy you go to, they can be very flexible or they can be very strict or not really interested in like helping you out. So what I find is really good is going between several embassies. And there's another element to that is sometimes you can only go to an embassy you have a residence in. So say you're a US citizen, you can only go to Ghanaian embassies or consulates within the US. And if all of them are not willing to assist you, which you'd find one more than likely, you could get residency, say, in Mexico, and then you could potentially do the process through Mexico. A lot of embassies and consulates don't like doing some of these processes if you don't have a residence in that country. So US is pretty good. You've got a lot of consulates and embassies for most, especially Mexican. So you've got the Mexican embassy in Florida, in Miami. They're quite good to deal with. Even the Mexican embassy in Australia is very good. But there's some like in California, or there's one there that I had a bit of a funny experience over an email chain. But yeah, all embassies are good. They're all people working hard to try and help you, but sometimes they're overloaded due to high amounts of people using that. Yeah.
Okay, so So you, what are your future plans with having like a trifecta where you live in different countries? Like you said, you have permanent citizenship, permanent residency in Armenia, Mexico. You have temporary residency in Paraguay. What does the next 5 years look like in your life as far as investing and finding a place to actually call home?
For me, my plan is to buy property in three key countries and rotate between them. Because at the moment, these countries are quite, wouldn't say easy, but compared to other countries, it's relatively straightforward compared to, like, say, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of an example. But yeah, so these countries are more open to people moving to them. So I don't think it will be like that forever. I almost guarantee within the next 5 or so years, it's going to tighten up. You're not going to be able to get Mexican passports simply by getting a PR and spending a little bit of time. That's not going to be possible. I doubt that's going to be a possibility. They're going to require a lot more investment, just like your Maltas, your Cypresses. You need to invest in $500,000 of property, etc.
Yeah.
They're going to be going down that pathway. An average Joe is not going to be able to do it. It's going to be someone who's already a multi-millionaire who it's debatable whether they would need that at that stage because they should have a structure that's already working by that point. Your average person won't be able to do it. So I think the best time to do it is now. Like right now is to go and get. If you're just starting out, you want to look at the closest country to you in this list of countries, like whether it's Paraguay if you're from the US, or if it's Armenia, Georgia. Even Serbia, depending on what you're looking for and how you're going to structure it, and just visit the country, set up a bank account, which usually most countries you can do it as even on a tourist visa in a lot of countries, and just depositing a little bit of money to that account. That way you have a sense that you can kind of build on that and do more. You can do all this for yourself. It's possible, but you could run into situations where you'd be spending thousands and thousands of dollars and getting very little back with that. Like, you could be paying an attorney that's just basically stealing your money, really, like,
Yeah.
literally. While if you use a more reputable service, who's trusted, and you know they have a history of doing it, it's going to be straightforward. It's going to save you so much money. It's so much easier. Like, I wish I was able to use services like that, like something where they could tell me, this is the list of stuff you need, this is where you need to go, meet me there, I'm going to translate everything for you, everything will be done. You'll only need to be in the country for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, especially in Mexico's wild. Like, they're changing the system now, but previously, when I had to do it, you had to stand in line from, I think, around 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, so that you'll get an appointment to get your residence.
Wow.
Which is just, for me in Australia, that's nuts. Like, but you got to accept every country has different rules and different ways of doing things, and because they have that program that set up that way, you don't need to book an appointment. You didn't need to book an appointment a month in advance. You could literally just turn up, be there first in the morning, you're going to get an appointment the same day or the next morning. So there are advantages and disadvantages to these sorts of systems. There's no one-size-fits-all approach with this. Each residency, citizenship works for different people. A good example is Republic of Palau. This is really good, say if you're into crypto and you don't want to use like say your US passport or a local passport in the country you're in. You should always report any profits, or if you follow the rules, don't do anything sketchy. But people who have privacy-related issues, or say their IDs not being issued in time, like say the state's taking too long, something like this could get you a Binance account, and you could push 2 million a day, as long as you have an address, everything's verified. You could really do well and not have to worry about using your country's main country of citizenship or main country of residence for that. I tend to use my secondary passport for the majority of things, and anything that requires heavy lifting, I would use my Australian. In future, I hope to get more citizenships down the line and contribute to the countries I have residence in, both by property investment and also helping the locals, whether it's from helping them get visas between other countries, because it's even harder. Like for us from like Australia, America, UK, it's quite relatively easy compared to someone from, say, I don't know, Venezuela or countries like that. It's extremely difficult. And they'll put their livelihood and dreams on getting a residence visa, like to the US. Like they're gonna, as you've seen, like they've gone through tremendous things to get a chance of the American life. But for people that start pushing to higher income brackets, you are better off leaving Western countries, unfortunately, because you'll get better tax treatment, you'll have a better lifestyle, and it's just all around better for people in high income brackets.
Okay. So from my understanding, you actually help people get all these ID cards and passports that you have yourself. So definitely I would be using you as well to work on, because I already started my Paraguay process, but I told you what happened with that. So I had to go back and redo that. Paraguay, Chile is another one that I would like to have residency. Of course, here in Nairobi, and even I could even do one in Brazil as well. So can you tell me a little about the service that you do exactly? How do you help people get those?
So the way my process works is we have an initial consultation where we assess for free. We assess all your situation, your background, your goals, even your ancestry, because we can facilitate getting citizenship through your ancestry, through your parents, grandparents. There's a big list of countries that are willing to assist with that or willing to process that. And sometimes that is the easiest way to be able to move to another country, is just do it through your parents or your grandparents. But what we do is, we go through initial consultation, and then after that, I'll do a report on what I see, and I'll do which is paid. There's a paid consultation through me, which is 20 minutes, and I will review all your information over that 20-minute period and explain to me what we can do and what your best options are. From then onwards, we will do a combination of on-referring to specialists within each region that we have connections with, that I've worked with, and get you each residence that we recommend. Maybe we might recommend no resident. Maybe you already have a pathway to citizenship through your parents, and maybe it's better to do that. Say you have a Brazilian mother or father or something like that, we can definitely process that. But our priority is to simplify the process. We don't want you running around all over the place, getting stressed out, wasting all your time instead of having fun. We want to take that on and fix that part. We want you to just see the parts that you enjoy. So telling us what your dream is or what you want to do, us making that achievable, and then giving you the steps to get that done. Be it Paraguayan residency, even Brazilian citizenship. You could have a child, it's quite incredible. You could have a child in Mexico, Brazil, or Argentina, and there's a pathway. It is incredible. That's something I would like to do in future. Because one, you are developing a direct connection to that country. Your family is from there. So definitely. You can find me on globalresidencyadvisors.com, and you could literally start the process on there from the beginning. The initial free consultation, because that way you're not losing anything. Like the initial consultation costs you nothing. If you don't like it or you don't, the process is not right for you, you've lost nothing. If you do want to go ahead with it, we'll start the documentation part. We'll start looking at what we can do, and then you'll have a chat with me, and then we'll go to the next stages. Everything is transparent. There won't be no surprise costs. It's all pretty straightforward. If something's going to cost you a lot of money and we don't recommend it, we'll mention it. We'll tell you.
So if you guys would like to speak with Johnny here, and you are interested in getting a new passport, a new residency, or a new cedula, like he said, from Paraguay, click the link in the first pinned comment or description, and we'll get you set up where you can get your dream started in another country, and you would never have to leave. I appreciate you doing the interview today, Johnny.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure meeting you in person. Great hanging out with you. Also, he's a guy that booked a consultation, and he came into town, and I showed him around. We had a very, very good night at one of my favorite clubs around here. So I appreciate you coming in town, man.
That was great. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.